Just Mercy, why Michael B. Jordan believes Bryan Stevenson is a superhero. After winning accolades in Black Panther, Michael B. Jordan is producing and starring in the legal drama Just Mercy, based on a true story. He portrays a very challenging role as the revered civil rights defense attorney Stevenson, who defends and frees improperly convicted death row prisoners. For Jordan, Stevenson is a real-life superhero, and here's why. Number 5. His Equal Justice Initiative provides legal assistance for fair trial. Bryan Stevenson's brilliance earned him a scholarship at the Harvard Law School, where he also earned a master's in public policy. While attending a class on race and poverty litigation in law school, he apprenticed for the Southern Center for Human Rights, which represents death row inmates throughout the South. It struck a chord in Stevenson, making him realize his career calling. After graduating in 1985, he worked full-time running the center in its Montgomery, Alabama operation. But when the U.S. Congress abolished funding for death penalty defense for poor people, Stevenson converted the center and formed the nonprofit Equal Justice Initiative, or EJI, in 1989. Instead of gaining wealth, Stevenson used his legal expertise in providing representation to prisoners wrongly convicted of crimes and others who've been denied a fair trial. EJI has worked to eliminate excessive and unfair sentencing, exonerate innocent death row prisoners, confront abuse of the incarcerated and the mentally ill, and aid children prosecuted as adults. Lawyers abound, but Stevenson is a rare breed of superhero lawyers. Number 4. He campaigned against life sentences for persons below the age of 18. He may be one tough defense attorney, but Bryan Stevenson has a soft spot for children, especially those that have been punished by the American criminal justice system. The multi-awarded lawyer has been particularly concerned about overly harsh sentencing of persons convicted of crimes they've committed as children under the age of 18. Through his non-profit organization, Equal Justice Initiative, or EJI, Stevenson has helped achieve U.S. Supreme Court decisions that prohibit death sentencing to children under 18, or to life imprisonment without parole. In the 2005 Roper v. Simmons case, the Supreme Court made a landmark decision and agreed with the EJI that sentencing children under 18 to death was unconstitutional. While in the Miller v. Alabama case in 2012, the Supreme Court again sided with EJI and found it unconstitutional to give children mandatory life sentences without parole. Stevenson believes that people need mercy, justice, and unmerited grace, which he extended effectively to the children victimized by the criminal justice system. Number 3. He initiated the commemoration of lynching victims through a memorial. In an HBO documentary about Bryan Stevenson, America's most consequential civil rights lawyer today, he's quoted as saying, "You can't disconnect the death penalty from the legacy of lynching. Can't disconnect the legacy of lynching from the era of enslavement." I think that this line is a very real one. His desires to seek justice isn't just confined to recent cases, but it extends to past injustices that have been neglected or ignored in the broader society. Specifically, he's looking into the history of American slavery and lynchings in 12 U.S. states in the South during the post-Reconstruction era. Thus, to honor the 4,400 black people who were victims of terror lynchings in the South from 1877 to 1950, Stevenson developed the National Memorial for Peace and Justice on 6 acres of land in Montgomery. The memorial, which opened on April 26, 2018, is intended to call attention to an aspect of the nation's racial history that's discussed the least, according to Stevenson. Number 2. He acknowledged and honored slavery victims in Montgomery. Situated near the National Memorial for Peace and Justice in Montgomery is the Legacy Museum from Enslavement to Mass Incarceration, which also opened in April 2018. Founded by lawyer Bryan Stevenson and his Equal Justice Initiative organization, it contains exhibits that reflect the post-slavery treatment of African Americans by whites. What visitors can see are materials on lynching, racial segregation, and mass incarceration since the late 20th century. Stevenson articulates that how the treatment of people of color under the criminal justice system has come about is related to the history of slavery and treatment of minorities in the South. Stevenson also initiated to recognize 3 slavery sites in Montgomery with historic markers, after the state of Alabama declined to sponsor the project because of potential for controversy. What drove Stevenson to pursue all these? In his words, truth and reconciliation have always been sequential. You can't get to reconciliation and recovery until you've got the truth. and we've not done a very good job of telling the truth. If anything, we've distorted the history. Number 1. He has saved 125 wrongly convicted death row prisoners. If there's one compassionate and brave soul who champions the cause of the impoverished, the condemned, the incarcerated, and even the guilty by standing up for them and affirming their humanity, it's attorney Bryan Stevenson. I believe we are all more than the worst thing we've ever done, Stevenson says. Since his nonprofit organization Equal Justice Initiative was formed in 1989, Stevenson and his staff have won release, reversals, or relief from more than 125 death row prisoners. One of them was Walter Johnny D. McMillian, an African-American pulpwood worker from Monroeville, Alabama, who was wrongly convicted of Rhonda Morrison's murder in 1987. His 1988 death sentence was wrongfully obtained, based on police coercion and perjury, and his appeals were turned down 4 times. But with the help of Stevenson and EJI, McMillian's innocence was proved, and he was finally exonerated on March 2, 1993. McMillian's true story and how Stevenson helped him win over the worst battle of his life is the main core of the legal drama Just Mercy, starring Michael B. Jordan as Stevenson and Jamie Foxx as McMillian. Don't miss this searing biographical film showing on Christmas Day. Thanks for watching. Please like and share this video with your friends and subscribe to our channel for your daily dose of voodoo videos.